You've probably seen the headlines, right? Fasting can fight cancer. But is that a real medical breakthrough, or is it just, wishful thinking? Today, we're going to cut through all that noise and look at the actual science. We'll dive into the exciting theory, the pretty sobering evidence, and what it all really means.
And really, this is the question that started the whole thing. The idea feels so simple, so intuitive. If cancer is all about uncontrolled growth, couldn't we just cut off its food supply?
So why is this even a serious scientific question? Well, the answer lies in a really fundamental difference between our normal, healthy cells and those rogue cancer cells. It's a difference that scientists are hoping to turn into a weapon.
It all boils down to appetite. See, cancer cells are incredibly greedy. To fuel their crazy, out-of-control growth, they are just ravenous for sugar, for glucose. They're so hooked on it that they actually rewire their whole metabolism just to burn through it at an incredible rate. Okay, so if cancer has this major weakness, this massive sweet tooth, how could we possibly exploit it? Well, that's where the whole theory of fasting comes into play. And honestly, the biology behind it is pretty fascinating.
This gets us to a concept called the Warburg effect. Now, it sounds super complex, but the idea is actually simple. It just means that cancer cells are wasteful. They guzzle down tons of glucose, but are really inefficient at turning it into energy. And that metabolic flaw? That's the exact target researchers are aiming for. And this right here, this is the core idea. It's called differential stress resistance. Think of it like this. When you fast, your healthy cells get the memo. They sense that resources are scarce, and they go into this protective survival mode. They basically batten down the hatches. But cancer cells, they can't. Their mutations are just screaming, grow, grow, grow at all costs, so they can't hit the brakes. They're left totally exposed, which can make them way more vulnerable to treatments like chemotherapy. And it's not just about starving them of sugar. Fasting seems to launch this kind of multi-pronged attack. It can lower growth factors that act like fertilizer for tumors. It might trigger this cellular recycling process that can sometimes kill off cancer cells. And get this, it might even supercharge our own immune system's ability to join the fight.
So the theory is really compelling, right? And it has led to some genuinely exciting results in the lab. Let's take a look at the animal studies, because that's where all of this hope and hype really started.
This one study was a total game changer. Back in 2012, researchers found that in mice, fasting didn't just slow down tumors. When they combined it with chemotherapy, it massively increased survival compared to just chemo by itself. This was huge. It suggested fasting could be a powerful sidekick to traditional treatments, not a replacement.
I mean, just look at this. The difference is pretty stark. On the left, that's the survival rate with just chemo. But look at the bar on the right, chemo plus fasting. That huge leap in survival is exactly why this research got so many people so excited.
Okay, and this is a really, really huge but. We have to hit the pause button. As amazing as these lab results are, we have to remember the #1 rule of medical science. Mice are not humans. It's as simple as that. What works in a mouse in a lab often doesn't translate to the complexities of a human being. So that's the big question, isn't it? What happens when we take this out of the lab and into the real world? What does the human reality look like when we test this on actual patients? And this is where the story gets, well, a lot more complicated. When you look at the human trials so far, the picture is pretty fuzzy. There's some weak, kind of inconclusive evidence that fasting might help with chemo side effects, like fatigue. But for the big questions, does it shrink tumors? Does it help people live longer? The answer right now is that there is just no clear evidence. And look, we have to be incredibly serious here for a moment. We have to talk about the risks. Cancer patients are often already fighting malnutrition and losing muscle. Fasting without a doctor's supervision isn't just a bad idea. It can be downright dangerous. And let me be absolutely 100% crystal clear. There is no credible scientific evidence that fasting by itself cures cancer in humans, period. Full stop. So let's pull all of this together. We've looked at the exciting theory, the lab results, and the messy human data. What's the real, clear, evidence-based takeaway right now? First things first, the science here is legit. The theory is plausible. Fasting absolutely does change our body's biology in ways that can and do put stress on cancer cells. That part is real. But, and this is the single most important thing to take away from all this, it does not cure cancer. I'm going to say it again. There is no high-quality scientific proof that fasting alone works as a standalone cure for cancer in people. Which brings us to our final, and frankly, our most critical point. Please do not try this on your own. Any kind of diet change during cancer treatment has to be discussed with your oncologist, with your medical team. Your safety has to be priority number one, always. So, where does that leave us? Well, even though fasting isn't the magic bullet cure some people are hoping for, the research is far from over. The question is shifting. It's no longer, can fasting cure cancer? Instead, scientists are now asking, can fasting help our proven treatments, like chemo, work even better? And for both patients and scientists, that is a question absolutely worth pursuing.